When people hear the phrase improvised weapons, they usually imagine desperation, chaos, or something straight out of a movie. But the truth is far more grounded and far more relevant in 2026. Not everyone can carry a firearm everywhere. Not everyone lives in a state with friendly laws. Not everyone is armed when danger shows up. And sometimes, the situation unfolds so fast that whatever is within arm's reach becomes the only line between safety and harm. Improvised self-defense isn't about being reckless. It's about awareness, adaptability, and using ordinary objects with purpose. In a world where crime patterns are shifting, response times are unpredictable, and restrictions vary wildly depending on where you live, knowing how to defend yourself without a gun is no longer optional knowledge. It's survival literacy. Today, we're breaking down the most effective improvised self-defense tools people are realistically relying on in 2026. Not fantasy weapons, not illegal setups, but everyday objects that offer real defensive value when things go bad. Before we get into it, take 1 second to subscribe and ring the bell. This channel exists to give you real-world knowledge you can actually use, not internet noise. All right, let's get into it. The reality of improvised defense in 2026. The biggest mistake people make when talking about improvised weapons is assuming they're replacements for firearms. They're not. They are stopgaps, tools meant to create distance, disrupt an attacker, or buy precious seconds to escape. Modern self-defense thinking in 2026 focuses less on winning a fight and more on breaking contact safely. That's the mindset behind everything you're about to hear. Improvised weapons work because they're legal, almost everywhere, instantly available, and psychologically disruptive when used decisively. The key isn't strength. It's intent and positioning. The flashlight, the most underrated defensive tool. In 2026, the single most overlooked improvised defensive tool is the high-output flashlight. Not a phone light, a real flashlight. Modern tactical flashlights now push anywhere from 800 to over 2,000 lumens, and that amount of light directly into someone's eyes is not a minor inconvenience. It's a neurological overload. A sudden blast of high-intensity light at night or in low light temporarily destroys depth perception, balance, and focus. It creates hesitation, and hesitation is opportunity. A flashlight also has something most weapons don't: plausible deniability. You can carry one almost anywhere: airports, campuses, office buildings, public events. No permit, no explanation, no attention. In trained hands, a flashlight also becomes an impact tool. The bezel can be used to strike soft tissue, hands, collarbones, or the bridge of the nose. Not to win, but to disengage. In real-world encounters, the flashlight is often what creates the moment to run. The belt. Control, not striking. A belt doesn't look like a weapon, and that's exactly why it works. In self-defense scenarios, belts are not used to whip or strike. They're used to control space. Wrapped around the hand, a belt extends reach. Looping it creates leverage. Targeting wrists, forearms, or hands can disrupt grips and weapons. In extreme situations, belts can be used for retention, pulling, or creating distance from an attacker holding a blade. What makes the belt valuable in 2026 is that it's always on you. You don't need to draw it from a bag. You don't need to explain it. And in environments where weapons are prohibited, it remains invisible until needed. Used correctly, the belt is about entanglement, not violence. The pen. Small, legal, and seriously effective people laugh at the idea of a pen being a defensive tool until they understand anatomy. A pen is not a stabbing weapon in the cinematic sense. It is a pressure point and pain compliance tool. Targeting areas like the hand, forearm, collarbone gap, or inner thigh can create instant disengagement without lethal force. In trained use, a pen becomes a force multiplier that requires minimal strength. the reason pens dominate modern improvised defense discussions is legality. You can carry one into places where even pepper spray is banned: schools, courts, aircraft cabins, office buildings. In 2026, where concealed carry laws are increasingly fragmented, the pen remains universal. The jacket or hoodie, your first shield clothing isn't just clothing. A jacket, hoodie, or thick sweatshirt can be used to protect the forearms from cuts, absorb strikes, or entangle an attacker's vision. Wrapping fabric around your arm creates a makeshift shield against blades. Tossing a jacket at an attacker's face creates confusion and breaks visual tracking. That half-second of disruption can mean escape. This isn't theory. This is taught in real defensive training because it works under stress. Your clothes are already on you. Use them. The backpack. Distance and barriers. In crowded environments like public transport, campuses, or city streets, backpacks are one of the most effective improvised defensive tools available. Held between you and an attacker, a backpack creates distance. It blocks strikes. It absorbs impact. If swung, it becomes a momentum-based deterrent, especially when loaded with books, laptops, or gear. What matters is not hitting hard, but keeping space. Distance is safety. In 2026 urban defense scenarios, backpacks are increasingly recognized as mobile shields rather than blunt weapons. The fire extinguisher, visual denial and escape. This is one of the most powerful improvised defensive tools in public spaces. Fire extinguishers are everywhere. Parking garages, offices, schools, apartment buildings. Discharging an extinguisher fills the air with particulate matter that blinds, disorients, and causes coughing. Visibility collapses instantly. This isn't about striking. It's about creating chaos in your favor and escaping through it. In active threat training, extinguishers are often taught as escape enablers, not weapons. The goal is confusion, not confrontation. The chair, simple, effective, primal. A chair is one of the oldest defensive tools in human history, and it still works. Held by the back, a chair creates a barrier with 4 points of contact. It keeps attackers at distance. It disrupts forward movement. It forces hesitation. This isn't something you swing wildly. It's something you use to control space until an exit opens. What improvised defense is not. It is not about chasing attackers. It is not about punishment. It is not about standing your ground unnecessarily. Improvised self-defense is about survival and disengagement, creating enough disruption to escape safely. That's the mindset professionals train for in 2026. Why this matters more now than ever. We are living in a time where response times vary wildly, laws differ by block, and violence can erupt in places once considered safe. Not everyone will be armed. Not everyone will have warning. Improvised defense knowledge fills the gap between awareness and action. It's not paranoia, it's preparation. So here's the question I'll leave you with. If you had no firearm, no spray, and no warning, what would you reach for first? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Someone reading them might learn something that matters. And before you go, subscribe to Bullet Bound and hit the bell. We're breaking down real-world defense, firearms, and preparedness without hype. And there's a lot more coming. Stay aware, stay calm, stay ready.